we go. Welcome back. Happy New Year. Marvelous to see you, Monifa.
Good to see you, Susie. Happy New Year. We've got the New Year. We've got the Lunar New Year. It just happened yesterday for those on the at least Pacific of the US. So we are lunar New Yearing it up over here. And then the true one lasts through into February. So when the solar one starts in February 12th. So, how's your New Year been?
It's been good. It's been a lot. I don't know about you and everybody watching. Welcome back to Verve Vision. We're kicking off our second year, Verve Vision, Sovereign Spirits Mastering Midlife. Yeah, I got some lessons over the new year about where priorities are and, healing, recovery, putting the focus on the stuff that matters. That's been coming up around here, and we've been trying to be good students.
Yeah, those
And
lessons.
those lessons. And I know you have already started off your new year with mindfulness and presence. You're just coming out of a silent retreat.
I did. It's becoming my new favorite thing. So I'll probably do a few of them this year. But yeah, this one was the shorter one. We did about 2.5 days of silent retreat, which was like I said, true. You don't get to do anything. You can't journal. You can't read. You can't look at the computer. Unless you're doing the retreat. And then so it can feel like, almost like being put in detention or go to your corner or your
Makes a
room.
little space for resistances to come up. Is that what you're saying? A little
I'm
friction in the space?
saying if resistance available, resistance will happen, which it's always available, right? So yay, opportunity to grow. And but what it does is like it makes it really clear like where those things are popping up, like what are your motivations lately. It makes it really clear container for those learnings of self, you know so I do overall enjoy it. It just gets at times feels like torture.
Well, and it sounds like that clarity, those awareness, that is perfect to be bringing into this new year energy, even if we are about to turn the page and welcome February. It's still a very fresh year, 2025, finding my place in that and deciding what course this year is going to take. And when we left off, we were sharing with people our mid-year or midwinter rest formula, Monifa's proprietary rest formula. And that was fun to share with everybody over in the book club.
Yeah, we did our winter's rest, and that was fun because it's the first time I've kind of in detail shared my practice of just kind of taking my time back and my energy for self over that winter period. It just feels best for me. Like we all have our cycles and we all think, oh, it's a new year, I should be ready to go. Not necessarily always, and depending on how you view things. And the more of us that are starting to follow nature's signs and symbols and all the things are starting to realize, hey, I don't want to do anything in the winter. It's cold. I don't want to go anywhere. And listening to that, right? So I think it's a great thing for somebody to adopt if they're starting to develop practices around what that feels like for them and what they want to have more of, which I hope for everybody is energy and wherewithal and maybe some of that passion for the things that are meaningful to you. So I think if those aren't the things that are already on your deck, then kind of the year will put them on your deck, right? They'll kind of,
Stay
hey, did you
tuned.
remember this thing?
They're coming your way.
That's what tends to happen, right? Um, and sometimes it's just that time, like it's time to that refocus on what those truths are for ourselves. So I feel like that's a lot what's happening in this time. I mean, yeah, I think we tend to have this idea that when we're going to get back to work and we're going to get right back to work. end of January, and I just haven't seen that traditionally to be true. But we did have a lot of good energy around that possibility. I think the challenge is this year that it feels different, right? But that energy to do is not motivating you in the same ways. It's not coming in, or you're not being able to invite it into projects in the same ways. So it can feel like I'm not doing anything, or I can't get anything done in that kind of hammer beats the nail. Look, I did it. Woo! With trumpets and congratulations, you did it. The award at the end.
Break that tape on the finish line. Evidence of
Yeah.
success.
Yeah. So I'm going to mention a little bit about Western astrology first coming into January. Are y'all down with that? Running into some Western astrology.
It
So coming,
all works together.
yeah, it all works together. So January, we were still in the year of Saturn, and that's going to happen coming into, I think, February. So essentially, it's still this kind of just feeling like you want to get things done, that challenges what's happening, that you know what you need to do, even if you're not doing it, type of feeling. It feels kind of exacting in that way. So as we go through those things and have that feeling, we have been feeling a little pushy. I call it pushy, like this feeling like we're going to make something happen. And so the shift that's happened recently, I think just before December, was Saturn in Pisces, which is this feeling of wanting things to be peaceful or easy, or and then and not and then if we're going to challenge something, let's challenge something that's vital, that's important, and that ultimately is either aspirational, which can look like money and corporate stuff, or it can be religious, like something that you're thinking of, something bigger than yourself, higher than yourself, your larger ideals, how you want to shape and be in the world. So the hard part is that we are tired of the old agreements, and so that's like this feeling coming in with Jupiter and Gemini. We're just tired of the same old, and it's causing kind of emotional exhaustion, in my opinion. So even though we're feeling like we're supposed to be getting back to work, getting this feeling like back to this work, I'd rather not, that kind of feeling, which is again reorienting us to our true priorities and true passions. And then that's emphasized with Chiron and Aries. So that's emphasized with that feeling of how are we relating to, because and that Aries energy, all you really kind of see is yourself. So you only see like how everything else is not you, right? So it's kind of why leadership isn't working, why government isn't working, why things need to be changed, why how we can interact can change. If we can't do it through them, we'll do it around them, right? Kind of feeling that's happening in the tech industry. Uranus and Taurus giving us this feeling of change in our structures, that again, something has to change, and not just the kind of superficial change, like determinate change that will change the shape and the landscape over time, right? And this can also look like how are we shaping our understanding of spirituality and our bigger ideals. So depending on where your kind of natal Uranus is, it may affect you differently. For a lot of us Scorpion babies, Uranus and Scorpio are really ready to kind of do it differently, right? So what some people call mystical arts, or the dark arts, or different kind of things that are just considered previously only meant for shadow and not meant to have any visible awareness around it. And we just keep seeing how that keeps shifting and changing and growing. And then Neptune and Pisces. See, again, to me, like this Saturn in Pisces, Neptune in Pisces thing is what's going to drive the idea that we're not working in the same way, right? So like trying to get things done the way it looked like getting things done before it just may not work anymore. So whatever kind of your insights were about that last year. So what does that mean for you? What is success to you is kind of how I say it in vocal alchemy. What is your version? And then what are your parameters? You make your own rules and let that be what you're determining as to how far you're getting, instead of letting these externals and these old ideals think or shape that for you in your own mind, right? So if your ideal is health and all you could do is think about how to be more healthy this month, and you're on track, right? So and that, doesn't mean that you actually improved all the things. It just means that you were thinking about what was important to you, right? And that's the starting place of everything. So that's kind of our Western landscape. How much of that hit home for you, Susie? Or do you feel like you're like, I don't know what you're talking
Yes.
about, Monifa?
Yes. Well, and I my moon is in Pisces, so I tend to get in the feels a little bit. And so Neptune in Pisces, I definitely feel like it's a little etheric, it's a little floaty. I have trouble getting grounded, getting some work done. I've
Yes,
been a little
yes.
untethered.
Untethered. And that has been the reframe for me, as far as what did I say, what did I walk away from my winter's retreat plus silent retreat? It is this letting the idea or the feeling of organization come from the connectivity to truth, right? So whatever that means to you, wherever your most clear and silent space is, right? And so it may not look organized on the surface, but if we keep orienting to that, we get the alignment that we need, right? So this is why I like astrology so much, because sometimes you just feel like we're going crazy and we kind of have these like, look, it happened to me too. Then we were like, oh, maybe I'm not crazy. So again, like how are we orienting to how things are getting done? What looks finished, right? It's not a timeline thing, and it's not a start and a finish thing, right? It's not like the old versions of that duality, right? It's a more felt sense thing, which we're going to talk about soon in a second. So yeah, so the new moon in Capricorn really hit that with like a vengeance, because it was saying like we're going to start the new moon in Capricorn at the beginning of the year. In my neck of the woods, this was on December 30th, and it was this feeling of shadow of disaffection, the gift of vitality, the city SIDDHI of bliss. So it's about that we can't improve outward without improving inward. So what happens there is that like everything is dissatisfying. Everything, like everything is dissatisfying because we're looking for the external to give us energy, vitality, reward. In essence, that's what life looks like, receiving that energy, right? And then realizing, oh wait, we can't we can't change things without a sense of inner vitality, a sense of what makes us alive with life, with energy. Yeah. So that was that lesson from about December 30th. Like I always like to give kind of global times, but I think until that energy hits fully, most of us aren't aware of it. It is already happening, but we may not know yet. But we're going to notice when it happens. We're going to notice the after effects. That's kind of why I build this out the way I do. New moon to the next full moon on January 13th, we were having that kind of come to self moment. And then January 13th of that full moon in Cancer, we were thinking we were going to get some love out of that. Y'all are so cute. Yeah, like I think people forget that opposition is Capricorn Cancer. That is the thing happening. Um, in any opposition, we think is completely the opposite, but the truth is it's just a mirror of itself, right? So that's why we get the idea that Capricorn is more father energy and Cancer is more mother energy. It's still a authority figure that is directing the hopefully nurturing of the growth of yourself, right? So it still has that energy of being a little exacting, just in a different way, just with more love, more acceptance, right? But this one that we got was my life's work. For those who know Gene Key's life's work sphere, right? It's that shadow of intellect. It is the gift of precision. It is the city of impeccability. And so in that shadow, it's like, I'm going to figure this out. I've got all the plans. I know how I want to get this done. I have a plan. It should be working right now. And I'm like, yay, welcome to my world where everything that you planned falls apart at the last minute. Because the lessons and the precision is all about being in touch with our now, which is, again, being in touch with our true self, and then allowing it to be shaped and evolved by what is present, what's needed, what's current, right? And so that it may not look exactly as you planned, but that preparation is what allows you to go with the flow eventually, if we are allowing that preparation to come from within, right? So in that precision, that's what we got a little bit of, oh, did you think you were going to get that all perfect? Oh, that was so cute. We still love you. That's what you get from Cancer. Like, we won't be like, oh, and now you go to hell. No, it's gentler than that. We're just like, oh, well, we love you, and we know that you're going to keep learning and growing. So it's all good. So yeah, it's about allowing, again, that sense of self to give you an inspired action for now out of the I got it done from the start to finish timeline, right? And then January 29th, with just a kid, yesterday, was new moon in Aquarius and our Lunar New Year, which we were talking about at the top of the hour. So we have this wonderful energy of, well, it depends on who you are, right? For some of us, it's a little overload. It's a bit of an overload. It is 19. It is 19.62. Like, so I do run the lines on these, which doesn't help anything. I mean, I think 19 is already prone to being sensitive because that's its gift. So the shadow is codependence. The gift is sensitivity. The city is sacrifice. So in codependence, a lot of times we feel like we have to give out of a need to keep an attachment, whether that be a relationship or a thing. And then what happens is that we think we're giving out of a limited source, right? So we feel like we're in lack, whether we're in lack and we need somebody else to help give it to us, or we're in lack, or somebody else is in lack and we need to give ourselves up to give something to them, right? So that shadow of codependence is like, I was talking about it in the aspect of narcissism and vampirism. The idea and kind of the dynamic, the pattern this creates in the shadow, right? So it's really not meant, I mean, obviously, it's there for what it's there for. It's meant to evolve and change and to shift you out of something that's no longer working to evolve into what's needed and what's next. And the power of that is the sensitivity to be able to feel what's needed for yourself and for others. And then to be attuned and aligned to that. So are we allowing our present moment, our present conversation, our present feelings to be honored, and vice versa, right? And so that when we think of the city of sacrifice, we're not talking about sacrificing and losing self. We're talking about sacrificing to include the all, right? So it's like a different metric of what that is. And what we're being asked to do over this next thing moving into February and to our February first couple of weeks is this idea of like get clear on like thinking that you're going to get your needs met through somebody else's um, having, right? And that others, and this is hard because a lot of us want to be needed. Okay, but it's coming from this energy, right? That well, if I'm not needed, then I'm not valuable. This kind of shadow energy. And so what we have to learn is that no, you're needed and not needed. We're all here for each other, and there's other people around. So if you need to take that self-care moment, go take the self-care moment. Like we all have resources, right? So we can find our own things that will take care of us until and when, right? Until and when you're ready to come through with your powerful medicine, right? Which doesn't, yeah, it doesn't lessen how powerful that your medicine is. It just means that you want to be giving it in the sense of now is the time. Now we're unfolding. Now we're traveling together. Now we're letting each other go. Now we're going to move on to a new shift of what our evolution requires, right? So, and not like taking that personally and making it feel like it means that you have less value, less things, less time. So yay. So that's our gene keys for January. What was that like? Is that a little trip?
So much energy, so much going on. I've been typing up my flower essence ideas. I'll put those in the comments. Heather, you were talking about seeing, I think, seeing other people's perspectives, but also seeing outside of ourselves. Aries is very self and I and egocentric. And I think that Heather is a beautiful flower essence for helping us see beyond our own perspective and point of view. We see how everything relates to us, and Heather helps us step beyond that and see the greater pieces at play. So that was the first flower essence that was coming up for me as you were talking. Scleranthus helps us connect with our inner wisdom and knowing. So confidence in knowing what we feel resonates with us. And that is the track that we're following right now, not where all the bells and whistles and shiny objects are summoning us. You know, as with the new year, so is marketing ramping up and all kinds of new offers and features and things on the horizon. And we just took our rest and our pause and our chance to go within. We know what resonates with us, but it can be really easy to get lost in that as everything starts clamoring for our attention. Vervain is an essence that often I recommend when people are feeling too passionate, the fervor is high, and they might not be hearing what other people are saying, but flower essences work beautifully in that balance. And so I think you were talking about having our conviction and maintaining our vitality. Vervain can help us boost that in the same way that it can help to temper that when it's out of balance. So if we need a little bit more strength, a little bit more faith in what we feel that inner voice is calling us to, but it's having trouble outpacing that outside input, I think that Vervain can help us to be a little stronger in our convictions when we need to be. Rockwater helps embrace flexibility and flow. Walnut was coming up, talking about earlier in the month, but current energies and moving forward, because I do feel it's a year of change for sure. Walnut helps us through all transitions. And so when life is changing and we're wishing it would slow down, or we want to be where we are and take a moment, Walnut can help us be okay with that process. Chicory helps to share love without strings attached, I like to say. So if we're starting to feel like I can do this because this works for me, you're starting to put conditions in relationships, chicory can help you ease that. And century helps us with healthy boundaries. And then going back to, walnut helping us have clarity through transitions. Wild oat is a flower essence that helps us connect with and stay true to our inner purpose, our true purpose. And so again, with the energies kind of pulling us in different directions and distractions being plentiful, wild oat is a beautiful one for the new year and for these energies and helping us to stay clear and stay on target.
Absolutely. Oh, that's some good stuff. Yeah, I mean, that's what I love about like your flower essence, because like it does. And one of the things I think was missing in the first kind of movement of using, what do they call it? Oils and essential oils and just herbals and like kind of food as healing, all of these kinds of things that you just gonna, oh well, what's the one that's gonna make me rich? What's the one that's gonna give me hair? What's the one that's gonna, right? And so what's so clear, I think, in the flower essence is like, oh yeah, well, it depends. Like, are you losing your hair because you're stressed or because you have a, whatever? It could be 1,000 reasons why that end result is happening. And I think the flower essences really speak to like what is happening, like what is happening that you can help that shift and have a clear, aligned perspective. So I love that. I love that so much.
Yeah, I love that they bring the intention to how you want to feel. Like, it's one thing to recognize how we feel, and a lot of us don't really have that vocabulary. We need to develop that awareness. And then if you can be clear on how you feel and how you'd like to feel, so which direction you'd like to move yourself in, after, of course, acknowledging where you are and why you're feeling the way that you are, because there's such powerful messengers. We need to understand why we feel the way we do. And then we can support ourselves in feeling differently if that's where we need to move ourselves to have the energy and the stamina to face what life keeps serving up.
Yes, exactly. Yes, so well said. And like, that's that wisdom feature that you learn over time, right? That you get to acknowledge where you are, and then realize you have something that you actually want to experience. That's something specific, and then where you're going. So we wanted to start you out in January because we didn't get a chance to talk to you about that in December, right? So we're just like, listen, let's go back and then we'll go forward. So February is our wonderful, I call it my second chance at a new year. Which it really was for a long time, because I really thought the new year was a thing. And so that when I started realizing, no, I really do like my rest during winter. And I think January is the deepest time of winter. So I give myself a lot of grace during January. And even, I feel like I did a lot this year. I feel like I did a lot, and I still gave myself a ton of grace. Like, I could have done more, right? If I really put my feet to the pavement type of thing. And February is this. I feel like
heard
January
that
happened. You heard
February.
It? Oh, February.
You're making me nervous.
It could go wrong in so many ways, but it's not it's not meant to, right? I mean, I feel like Valentine's Day is probably a good example how it can go wrong in so many ways. And that there's another invitation, right? Because we are having this, again, re-emphasis of how things are going to be happening differently, because we have the full moon in Leo, letting go of kind of this old habitual of giving awareness and attention only to what, again, it's kind of the old ideals of what's worthy, right? Of what's worthy of that attention. So, so that full moon is happening on February 12th. It is Jinki 4, and it's another 0.6. So when I say 6, I mean like, okay, 6 is kind of the last lesson before it moves on to the next number, right? So it's always got this aspect of, don't you get this? Like, don't you get this already? Feeling. And the shadow here is intolerance. The gift is understanding. And the city is forgiveness. Um, and this, I sometimes like to make the reference to the body graph or the chart of the biology that it happens within the system as the energy, which in this case is ajna, or the third eye, if you've heard of it that way. So third eye is about not necessarily are we getting all the downloads and the spiritual wisdom information, right? Like, which is where we've been for a long time. That's the best we could do because that's what we knew about that. Right? What it really is how are we perceiving? How are we perceiving? Because there's nothing not truly available, right? Everything's available all the time. So why are we not perceiving these things? That's the real question. And the ajna is the clarity of which we were perceiving. So in that sense, we're getting back to this understanding. It's like, are we letting our mind dictate us and what our environment and our feelings or how we are thinking of others, right? So it's coming back to this understanding of what are we allowing? Because okay, the other one from last one was the one we were talking about with Cancer. So the last full moon was talking about this same thing in a different way, because it was about the shadow of intellect, thinking you know something, and that because you know it so clearly, it's going to be perfect because you said so, right? Because we think that the mind is right and it is going to like get it right. Go ahead, Susie.
Oh, no, absolutely. I think what we think we know.
What we think we know. So what do you mean? Why isn't that right? Because that's what we've been taught our entire lives. Why would that be wrong? Because it's the mind is a tool. It's the hard drive of the computer. It's not what is doing the work, right? Our spirit is. The spirit is the one that came here, made the decision, came here to pick the body to do the thing. Like, right? So when we let the mind rule, we're basically reliving our old understanding, what we think we know, our old patterns, trauma, da 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 da, right? And so this is like, okay. Richard Rudd actually refers to this as an immaturity, like something that happens when you just don't know better, right? And it kind of comes from that idea of forgetfulness. We forget that we came here and that our true selves are spirit, right? Not the body, not the mind and the thoughts, right? So how are we letting our emotions assist our processing of perception? And are we allowing ourselves to, I don't know, some teachers call it stepping back into our true self of spirit before we make the emotions the final definition too, because emotions can feel so real. Again, we think we are our emotions, and again, we're not. There's something that happens when we have a physical experience of the energetic movements of our mind and our physical now, right? So it's just something that happens as a result. So if we keep looking at results, which I call externals, then you're going to keep getting confused as to what's true, what's clear, what's now, right? So it's giving us the sense of like to not let our feelings dictate what we won't accept, what we think we're a clear no to, what is truly harming us, like what is harming us, what is improving. And then like the gift of understanding is about bringing those into equilibrium, saying, well, I'm getting an emotion for a reason. I'm allowing spirit to inform like my thinking on this, right? And so that may mean a change of position of how we think of people and how we think of what's important with the people, right? Like we keep, we point to all these externals as to why we aren't where we want to be and what it causes more separation and division and intolerance, right? So that's what the big full moon is like. Can we let go of our old patterns of thinking that are causing intolerance? And can we receive our spiritual understanding that helps us understand? So that's the question on board. You want to start there with the essences
Yeah,
for February's?
what that has me thinking about is because there's no shortage of information and opinions, and everyone presents themselves as truth and fact. And so, there's a difference between that I feel that it's true, therefore it is true, case closed, and getting in touch with your inner wisdom and saying, yes, that resonates as true for me right now, and being open to everything changes. That information changes, our existence changes, the wisdom that we have to work with changes. And so I think that, that as opposed to that fixed mindset, fill in the blank, confirmation bias, this is true, therefore I only see supporting evidence, versus this feels true for me. Let's get curious. It's because my emotions are here right now, and this is the filter through which I am reading things, and just having that awareness, a little higher view rather than in the trenches, but I feel it in my bones. This is truth. And therefore, if you're not with me, you're against me, kind of feels like some of the opposition that I don't think it's just me. It's been kind of going around lately. So I think rock water maintains on my top list for flexibility. Star of Bethlehem is a beautiful flower for deeper spiritual connection, but also helping us release wounds and past traumas. And so as you were talking about that, I just kept coming back to it. It is the perfect flower for both of this, for releasing the things that change the way we perceive what's happening to us, because we can release those wounds and that trauma that we weigh everything through until we can recognize that we are greater than that thing that's happened to us. And for having that spiritual connection that helps us tap into our intuition, our inspiration, and our real wisdom that comes from within.
Yeah. That. Yeah, because I think that's the injection of the new moon energy we're having now, right? It's that energy of recognizing that that we love each other and we are for each other, but we don't like in that essence of only each other need, right? And that is what I think, again, it keeps tying us back to these ideas that, only my group do I need. I don't need this another group, or only in this way can we survive, and we can't survive with this other factor, right? And so I think it's really important to just stock up on your and that time that allows you to see things from a bigger picture. And then we get our bigger picture from the new moon. We get our new moon on the 27th of February, new moon in Pisces. Yay, because we need it. Because honestly, we need the Pisces energy to help us have a bigger frame of view so that we're not missing out on what is cool. And I and what isn't, I think will always make itself known. I don't know if we have to go looking for that. So what we need is the balance and being able to track where we can not only feel good, but also to feel where we can make an impact, where we can share what we have and to continue to improve lives for people that we can be in contact with. What's available for us in that way. So in the Pisces new moon, that is the Gene Key 37, and it is a 0.5. Yes, we're all going to appreciate that. Why? Because 5 is really about the practical, like how are we applying things and that in a way that people can get something out of it, right? So we, I think a lot of times you feel spiritual, these ideas are so nice, it's a great theory, and yet the world is crumbling. What do you want me to do with that, Monifa? And so this 0.5 is going to make us feel like this is applicable. I can do something with this, right? Um, and it's still spiritual because it's everything is that in essence, because we are in essence that. And the shadow is weakness, the gift is equality, and the city is tenderness. So this is interesting, folks. That this is still a conversation, but obviously, it's not crazy because universe set it up like that, right? So it's still like we get what we need, right? So this shadow weakness is coming from the idea that something is less than in its difference, duality. We're going back to that, folks. I told you that's how we're going to wrap up this February. So that difference traditionally, especially in our societies, has been women. What's interesting about that is that's also one of the books we picked. And this time we did kind of choose our books ahead, but mostly with intuition, with this little bit of knowledge, right? So we haven't we haven't even fully dove in all the way on our book yet, but we chose it because of some of this idea, what this energy is, but also because of what's up for us and what we feel like we can get something out of, right? And this 0.5, right? Feeling. So in that shadow, thinking of feminine energy, the feminine. I had another podcast briefly called Ephemeral. And it was basically about the energy of feminine and why it's powerful and not weak, right? Because that's just what we've been programmed with over time. And so everything associated with feminine, if you speak softly, then that's not powerful. If you, right, there's like so many different things that we just decided, oh, that's for the weaker people. So it's basically this idea is about, again, to rid ourselves with the idea that duality is a framework of good and bad, and that and the gift of equality is saying that let's just like take the idea that gender has anything to do with it, that good or bad has anything to do with it from that perspective of higher self and spirit, that it is about what the essence of our emotion, right? So basically our now reality of interaction is in balance. So equality, right? In balance with each other. The city of tenderness, right? So like our willingness to not wait for the other to come into the room before we are addressing our needs, of emotional needs, of life needs, of world needs. So it is a power dynamic. I think this is coming up a lot this year. First, I don't know if this is like the time of year for that to come up or what, but because last year we kind of started with the power conversation as well. And yeah, so I don't know, but it is definitely on the table. Like, what is power and why did we make it a bad word? And because it's power is essentially your capacity to get your needs met. In order to live, you have to have needs met. You have to eat some food, you have to breathe some air, you're going to need some love at some point, even if it's brief and only in touch form, right? Like if a baby's not touched, their survival likelihood is like no, right? So those are the things we need. Getting those needs met is not the bad part, right? It's not the bad part, right? It's about are we allowing that to be equal to those around us? And again, are we feeling like if my needs are met, then yours won't be met, vice versa. And it's that feeling, right? So Pisces is like, y'all looking at the wrong thing. So yeah, so we'll talk more about our book next week. But for now, like Likeable Badass, man, we'll talk about it more in a second. I really want to hear what essences Susie came up with.
For this next rendition, for that next phase after, in the second half of February, holly is the heart opener flower, just like we think of holly around Christmas and that time of forgiveness, of togetherness and embracing everyone, helps us find tenderness and acceptance with each other. And vine flower essence supports balanced power, allowing others to have autonomy and to walk their own path. No matter how much we want to try to make their lives better and handle their business, we are all walking our own path and we have to let them do it. So Vine helps to ease that and let them.
Absolutely. Yeah, it reminds me of something we said last year about like if the child was in a room and you're just like, oh well, I'm your father, or I'm gonna go get some money, and I know you're crying, but you're just gonna have to deal with it until your mom gets here, right? Like that's my comparison to sometimes how we treat our emotions and our bodies and ourselves, right? Like we're gonna be like, oh, you don't have time for emotions right now. You're gonna have to wait until it's an appropriate time and finish making money until we have time for your emotions.
How's that working for everybody? Right?
How is that working for you?
Are they really sitting there patiently waiting for you to come back to them? No. They're waiting in the wings for any excuse to pop off.
They're like putrid in the corner and making everything stinky. Like, it doesn't work that way, right? So yeah, so I think it's powerful, but it is that question, and we do like February is that Aquarius energy of like, where's my perfection of expression being met, and it is in the wholeness, right? That's the ultimate truth of Aquarius. It's in the wholeness. It doesn't happen in our separate selves, which is why we feel like we need to be clingy and all that kind of thing. But when we are allowing that flow and that back and forth within ourselves, to ourselves and for ourselves, and then through and from ourselves, right? That's that beautiful, like what we can actually call balance until, and I think, ever since you did, what was that? Was that like October, November? Susie was talking about like people's things with balance, because for so long, I think I was, for two, was saying this kind of balance is a farce, right? And I'm like, no, like the word means to balance what is not balanced. Like, and
action. That's not a destination.
It's something that is happening. It's not something that is a still point at any time, right? And so, like, and you were talking about your annoyance is like with the word of rebalance, which is like redundant, right? We already said that part. So that truth, that it is a flux and a flow, and that we get to come to every now moment with what wants to flow next and what's going to be invited and discharged, right? So yeah, so I think that is a great way to come in. That understanding is a great way to come into the year. So you're ready to give the juicy
everything that's new, all that's new about the Verve Vision Book Club. Let me drop this in the comments so y'all can take a look and have an idea what to expect. It's too long to be a banner, so if you're catching this on Facebook or on the YouTube, we are keeping our model that we established last year. Last year, we would hop online on the last Thursday of the month. We would do this energy forecast for the month ahead. We would talk about the book we're going to read in the month ahead. And then in the first Thursday, we would have book club, which came really fast. And we heard from people they wanted more time to go deeper into books. And so this year we are going to read fewer books together so we can go more deeply into them. And so this is a kind of a messy little unformatted overview of what you can expect in the year ahead. So this is the last Thursday of January. We're doing our energies for the upcoming month. On the first Thursday, we will get together, but this isn't the final book club meeting. We're going to have a lot more time to dig into our first pick, which is Likeable Badass, a book by Alison Fragale. Let me make sure I'm getting her name right because I haven't committed it all to memory yet. I first heard an interview with her on the radio. Since then, I have seen amazing podcasts. And of course, as you know, once you start looking at someone, they pop up all over the place. Her book came out this past year, I believe, so it's still a pretty new one. And it's taking a look at how women can succeed in business. How do we strike that balance between power and status? How do we be likable while we still demonstrate just how capable and amazing and powerful we inherently are?
I love this so much. Again, that like practicality piece of how are we going to use this in the real world for what we need next, right? And so it is like kind of, to me, this culmination of understanding what's true for ourselves, what's true about our perceptions of the world, what, like, clarifying that in this now moment. I think we had a lot of idealism around what could be perceived in our understanding of the capacity of women before. And so we're kind of, in a lot of ways, in jumping the gun on what we expected people to be able to absorb and to live in our society. Not so much jumping the gun because it was, past due, right? But and there's things that we are still need to address in real time. That are still things like, we act like it's not there, then we're just not being wholly, we're not being wholly effective. That's just the way it ends up, right? So this idea of like, what does that mean? And I don't want to be just kind of some toughie in a suit. I don't want to be like, just a badass. I want people to like me too. And what's wrong with that? Like, having that truth be present, right? And not act like it's not true. I think it's a great place to start. I know I think this is progressive in the way that it talks to the nuance of what like feminism can be. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it in that way, but we haven't actually read the book yet. So you'll get to read it along with us. If you hop over to our Verve Vision page, which is buymeacoffee.com/verve.vision. That is Susie. Then you'll have a link directly to an audiobook version, because that's how I do what I do. Because if I had to read a book all the time, that may not happen.
Let me share my favorite secret. Can I share my favorite secret productivity hack? I thought I had told all of my friends, and this last week I was talking about it, and it was like new information all over again. So here's my insider secret. I get the Kindle, and then I have the Kindle on my phone. I don't use the Kindle device, but I have the Kindle app on my phone, and I have the Alexa app on my phone. And then when I am busy moving around the house, I don't have time to read the book, I can ask Alexa in the Alexa app, don't listen, I'm not talking about you, to read the book, and it will resume from the bookmark from the last page you've read in the Kindle. So if you're going through it in Kindle and then you want to listen to it, you can just ask so-and-so to read it to you. And I love the Kindle version because you can highlight and secrets. You can copy and paste some of the passages if you want to pull that from the book, which is how I try to make short work of our book notes, which we make available to members of our book club. Our supporters get access to those note pages that we compile as we go through these books, the things that stand out to us that really, make these relevant and pertinent. Like Monifa said, last year we went kind of high concept, really big, powerful books like Oh my gosh. I just like too many words in my brain and I forgot the first one that we read. It was amazing by Kaja
Unbound.
Urbaniak.
Yeah.
Unbound. I'm like
Yeah.
untethered, unbroken, unbound, unbound. And the 15 commitments of conscious leadership. We really dug into some really amazing concepts last year. But some of us have to walk into an office and deal with the people in the cubicles next door, right? So, how do we do that? How do we walk our power and get the things that we want? And likability is a way to bring people around to our perspective. It's a form of power. It's not being a pushover. It's not being the nice girl. And it's not about not getting what you want. It's about recognizing. And early on in the scale, there's in the book, there's a scale where they kind of measure on a scale of from submissive to assertive and from cold to warm, right? So where's that likable and that competent sweet spot where you can be successful and authentic to yourself?
Ooh, so juicy. We can't wait to eat that one. I love it's so, I mean, because it's so true. Like there is that dichotomy. There is that sense that, oh, I have to do it a certain way, right? And so when you have this ability to dive into somebody's exploration of what that can mean and what's different about that, yeah, I think that is I don't know what I said earlier, but what I'm gonna say now is I think that power dynamic is really what's up for this year. Like, what does that mean? I think we've been avoiding it as just such a bad word that it has lost. We have lost our way in our way to be effective and our capacity to be effective in our communication and in that receiving of what we need that we're talking about in the Gene Keys. So yeah, that receiving is not necessarily, it's not a bad thing, y'all. It's okay. Like that's, we're here to give and receive. And so those are the things. And if we try to act like it's not happening, that's when we start doing things that are bad. We start because we're not recognizing there is an energetic dynamic and that there is somebody whose needs aren't being met if we're not conscious of it, right? So it's important. It's important to have these conversations, and I know they're tough. And yeah, so if you haven't, I mean, it's still there to be observed on YouTube. Verve Vision, February last year, the end of January, February last year, Unbound. We had that conversation, and you can go back and check it out. Especially if you sign up for our book club, you're welcome. You are welcome. It is not a big deal. Just hop on over there. It's worth the click, I promise. And so, yeah, and like all of our book notes are there from that time. So if you don't have time to go and read the whole book and digest everything on your own, you got your little cheat sheets and whatnots on over there by our book club.
So next week, we're going to, again, take a bit of an overview, take a deeper look at the book, and then 2 weeks after that, February 27th. Yep. We will do another live stream. We'll do another energetic update. We'll share a little bit more takeaways from the book. And then we are introducing this year Verve Vision Book Club workshops where we're going to deep dive. We're going to make it applicable. So the things that we pull from these books, we're going to actually roll up our sleeves and how does this apply to our lives? What does this look like? So bring your questions all the way along the process, but know that we've built these opportunities to go deeper this year. And we're really excited because last year, I mean, first of all, I was impressed by my book reading list after adding those 12 like fantastic titles. And just being able to share the conversation here with Monifa and I, and in the book club meetings with our supporters, and to see what's coming up for people. You know, when you talk about it and you work through those questions and you have more of those light bulb moments, then you're actually able to call on it when you need it. And isn't that really what makes it all worth it?
Absolutely. Yeah. Because, that's the habit of mine. I just digest a lot of information really quickly. So sometimes I'm not applying things right away. And even last year, I got that kind of a message to slow down and to ask more questions. And it really does. It just helps. And when you really incorporate it, then, or don't, or make a conscious choice not to, so you don't feel like you're leaving something on the table that you don't really need. You know what I'm saying? That kind of feeling of overwhelm. It really does. It keeps it clear, keeps it like, oh, I am making progress. I am a little different today than I was yesterday. And that's moving in the direction of more of what I want to be next, right? It's fun. It's fun. So I hope you do join us and dive in. Also, Susie has a workshop coming up.
I do.
What is that called?
I'm not sure which way you were looking. Like, are you looking at the clock? I'm hosting a workshop, still leaning in on that new year, fresh start energy. Space to Thrive is a decluttering workshop. We're going to get tangible. We're going to get into like the roots of clutter, why we hold on to stuff, the benefits of releasing that clutter. We're going to have some action time where you can actually dig in and do some work somewhere around your home or your workspace so we can come back together and talk about it. It's the next best thing to having like a one-on-one session or community support, but you get to do it in the comfort of your own home. So I can share a quick link, but Space to Thrive is that workshop. It's February 8th. It's a 4-hour workshop on Zoom, and you're so welcome to join me. Here's a link so you can find out more about Space to Thrive. And I'd love to have you.
I'm sure they would love to be there. Yes. So yay. So we have that awesome workshop coming up. We also have, let me go ahead and share that link. So we also have my VIP days. So that's people who have already signed up or the people that were part of Voicing Your Vision and got their vocal alchemy package. They're ready to go. So y'all are all set. You don't have to worry about it. And then it is also open to the public. It will be self-contained. We will go through the Oman's method process to help us get centered, get present into the reality of what is up for us. We are going to have some actual processes so that you can start applying a sense of organization to everything you do without having to know everything up front. I feel like that's the biggest challenge when you start implementing an organization method, is like you kind of have to already have everything organized for it to work. It feels like to me a lot of times, or you have to be able to access everything that you need to work in the organization system in order for it to work. And so this is just, again, how I like to do things. I like a simple 4 steps that you can perceive a thing so that you can place it into what you're doing with it, what is it up to, or what do you do, what tasks are oriented to it, or if it's a part of a larger system. So we have a couple vocabulary around that. It's like how you want to build that is up to you. But the actual system itself is so that you can continue to absorb new information and apply it instead of having this kind of either I'm applying or I don't and I leave it on the table, or I'm not applying it and nothing's happening. It's just good luck with you, right? Hey, Lisa.
Sending love right back at you.
Alyssa. I keep saying your name wrong. I'm so sorry. So hearts. So she was on our Verve Vision last year. I wish I could remember what. I think
Enlivening Consciousness. Was it June or July? Members know. We had a great time with our guest author.
Available.
Monifa, do you have the link to share? And I can share it on the other platforms.
No, I don't have a link. Sorry.
Oh no. Monifa's going to circle back and post the link in all of the comment threads and all of the places, whether you're finding Verve Vision on Monifa's YouTube channel, on the 3X Less Stress Facebook page, on Monifa's Get Vocal Facebook page.
Yes.
You want to be.
I know it's exciting. So if you want to just jump in, just send me a quick email message anywhere you see me. And then I will make sure that you get the information to join in on the fun.
So many good things coming. We're so excited. There's a lot of energy in the new year. It's kind of been a little overwhelming, but stick with us. We're all making it through it together. We are claiming and conquering our midlife. We're
Yes.
not always making it look easy or pretty, but we are doing the thing and we're doing it together.
Yeah. As well as we are, as are we all, I think I'm going to really enjoy coming into our other books for the year, because there's so much that is meaningful and is going to help us work and solidly work with more efficiency and power throughout the year, so that we can really make some changes in what's happening and what needs to happen. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yay.
Yay.
All of it. We'll see you
clap.
next Thursday.
All right. See you there for our book conversation. We'll see you there.
Take care, everybody.